A hole in your basketball is typically not a good thing, but 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙩 bizarre new Airless Basketball Prototype treats them as a feature. Indeed, it's probably more hole than ball, and yet it's said to bounce and respond like a regulation NBA rock. Yep, you heard that right. At the 2023 Slam Dunk contest, 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙩 debuted a new basketball. One that could change the future of our beloved sport. But its airless structure also carries some major detriments, so today we're going to explore what exactly this new basketball is, what its upsides and downsides are, and if it's going to take over the NBA. So what better way to start than with the construction of the ball? The mission when starting this project was to reinvent the basketball, as Dr. Nadine Lipper, who is the invention manager at 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙩, told us. They wanted to find new cutting-edge technology and especially experimented with additive construction. We're all more than familiar with the standard 8-panel leather ball that has become so iconic, and with 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙩 being the company that provides the official balls of the NBA, it knows a thing or two about making bouncy spheres. But this new concept is for an all-new ball. This ball is different in some key ways, starting with the fact that it's 3D printed. And it's full of holes. You read that right. This 𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙩 ball is so different that it doesn't use air as a method of inflation. Instead, the whole surface of the ball is covered by small hexagonal holes. It's made from materials that were specially chosen to replicate the bounce of a traditional basketball, we are told. But unlike most balls, this one is designed to let the air through, not keep it in. 𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙩 says that this prototype almost meets the same exacting specifications as the real NBA basketball, including its dimensions, weight and rebound. Like many of the airless tire concepts we've seen, 𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙩's airless ball maintains its bounce using a highly engineered elastic structure instead of pneumatic pressure. In this case, the company went with a series of hexagonal holes arranged into a 3D lattice, while also replicating the typical binding pattern of the leather ball, so players can get their fingers into the seams as per normal. A structure this complex can only be 3D printed, so that's what 𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙩 did, in some kind of research-grade polymer material, which was then coated in black and sent off to 𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙯's NBA test facility in Ada, Ohio for rigorous testing. Unfortunately, we don't have much footage of it to see how the ball really behaves. The only real video is the Slam Dunk contest of 2023, where 𝘾𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙩 of the Houston Rockets gave it a shot and did some nasty dunks with it. Just look at him.
That's one. There you go, that's it. That was it. Make it to this level, right? And to have an opportunity to share this with your dad.
But now that we talked about how the ball is made, it's necessary to take a look at the benefits and disadvantages this new invention brings with it. 𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙩 says the airless prototype is designed to match the performance of regular NBA ball as closely as possible, including the weight and bounce response of a leather ball inflated to regulation pressure. The benefits are fairly clear. As with airless tires, you'll never have to pump these things up, and no puncture is going to put an end to your session. It's the same for indoor and outdoor basketball. Because there is no air, you don't have to rely on a certain pressure. The bounce always stays the same. At least that's what 𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙩 said. Furthermore, the structure allows air to flow through the ball. Technically, this would mean that it's less affected by wind, which would be a huge advantage when playing outside. Unfortunately, if that's the case, you can't say that the wind messed up your shot anymore. But there's one more benefit to the ball. If the ball always keeps its bounce, and if the material is sustainable, that would mean that you could keep on playing with the same ball for many years. Conclusively, you wouldn't have to buy a new one every half a year or so. But as with anything, this ball doesn't only have positive aspects. It surely carries its detriments. Firstly, it will probably start to pick up the odd bit of debris, which will rattle around in there. If small rocks manage to get on the inside, this could be quite annoying. And while they can probably be expected to last a fair while, it'll be interesting to know how the materials stand up to years of hard bouncing and clanging of double rims. Will the polymer lose elasticity and bounce over time? We don't know. It's also possible that this ball survives the hardwood floor of a regular gym, but maybe not the rocky bottom of outside courts. The material might rub off and ultimately lose its grip, or worst case, even its bounce. Another red flag right now is the price. Because right now this ball is set to cost between $200 and $250. That's a lot of money considering that you can acquire a regular ball for about 30 bucks. Finally, we don't know how the ball feels. Sure, 𝘾𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙩 dunked with it and showed some dribbles in the video, but that doesn't mean anything. It's a true possibility that this creation feels far different than a normal basketball. This would need some time to get used to. And unfortunately, we humans hate change and would have a hard time dealing with the ball at first. But now let's talk about a more urgent question. Will this ball take over the NBA? Those hoping to see this ball on the court are likely to be left disappointed for a good long while yet. 𝘼𝙗𝙤 is keen to make sure that everyone knows this is just a prototype, noting that there will be no changes made to the 𝘼𝙗𝙤 NBA official game ball. The company added that it will continue to be built from the same leather materials and using the same panel configurations that everyone is so familiar with. So the answer is no, not in the foreseeable future. 𝘼𝙗𝙤 is experimenting and this ball is just a prototype. It's nice to see new concepts brought to life, which normally results in innovation. But at least for the next few seasons, this airless ball remains an experiment. But even if this airless version will become the official basketball of the NBA, I believe that we will get used to it, because we always do. We have to remember that when basketball was invented, it was played with a soccer ball. It was brown, ugly and had an awful grip. Still, players managed to play with it. Same goes for the change from Spalding to Wilson. In 2006, the NBA's official basketball changed from a Spalding basketball to Wilson, as Spalding failed to renew their contract. And even though Wilson used the same leather from the same company and the same iconic 8-panel pattern, players complained that this ball lacked softness and touch. But now we have 2023 and everyone is using Wilson balls. Except no one is complaining. What I want to say is that changes take time to get used to, but in the end things go back to normal or become even better. What's your take on the new basketball? Do you like it? Write a comment if you like. But what's way more interesting is not the NBA's ball itself, but what players can do with it once it's in their hands. Some players put up incredible performances once they have their hands on the leather and ultimately win the MVP for it. But sometimes the MVP seems undeserved. So check out this video about the best and worst MVP in NBA history. You can click the video because this one is over. Seriously, you can go now. I'll see you there.